I just, I wanted, since we've launched this, impromptu YouTube channel, and we've had, various calls with, community guests and, kind of more, I don't want to say bigger names, but, if we, as in when we start doing more external guests, I did not want to lose, the ability to sit down and talk to you guys, because that's been a big part of our calls for the last year. So when someone asked for a Q&A thread, just kind of catching up on, anything that you guys want to clarify. I'm, no expert here. I don't think I've ever said I was on anything. I can certainly offer you my opinion from the way I feel like we echo or endorse certain fundamentals on this channel. And since I didn't want to come into this trying to make 101 different applications for people, just wanted to keep it super simple. One of the things I've said, in anticipation of a complete financial collapse, is that I don't like paper anything right now. And I realize how boring that is. But a lot of this stuff goes back to just the basics of sound money. When through whatever reevaluation happens, you can still have money or real money outside the system. So that goes back to gold, silver, and crypto. Certain crypto, digital assets specifically. And those are the coins that I've been super focused on and vocal with you, Vicki, over this last year to, I guess, set everybody up on the new financial system. Now, obviously, it's super boring waiting while we're here in this financial system as this one slowly fades and suffocates away and then keeps getting put on life support and brought back to life and all this kind of stuff. All those ins and outs that are happening daily, they don't really interest me because, if anything, it just distracts me. So if you guys want like the, latest on the Dow Jones or the NASDAQ, I'm not that person. I'm not, day trading. There are a few coins that I trade, but I keep this, pretty broad as far as what I do personally, or it's very specific, but I'm not, giving any, I don't want anybody to feel like I have no ultimate answer, because I saw some questions, and I have had some personal questions about, specifics on mortgages and pensions. And, look, my opinion on those is don't have them, get out of them, do whatever you can to drop them like a bad habit. That's my opinion. Now, saying that might freak out a few of you guys, so I don't. But if you really want to know what I think they're awful. I think any income from a bond, get out of that yesterday. But, that's why, I realize what I do, doesn't necessarily match everybody else's. At least the revenues of income they might have been relied upon, or obviously years and years of working in and contributing into a pension, obviously makes people very hesitant to get out of that. And I totally understand that, and the fear of paying taxes and all of that. So I don't want to dance around certain topics, but equally, if you ask my opinion on them, I'm not going to lie to you. And I hope that's clear. And you understand, I have no agenda here. This isn't, a Q&A to be put on a roasting fire. This is just a Q&A because Vicki and I have done a lot of these, recent YouTube, we started using Zoom because it's easier for YouTube when we have, just a few speakers. But in that, we are not able to have the same kind of community interaction like we do on Telegram. So that's why I wanted to be able to run this one and, see how it goes in the future, to be able to kind of talk to you guys. Because there were nights, in the past where we just got on a call after some obscene announcement and we're just like, what the hell was that? And there was no agenda. It was just people coming together and in shock, really. And so that's why I think that's the community that I feel like we've kind of built together over the last year. And me and, Vicki taking on this amazing new venture, although it does take time, but, scheduling people and following up, and then they, cancel, and then we have to reschedule, that kind of stuff, that gets hard. And so sometimes I just want to keep it just, a discussion with you all. So I say that, as I was like, 18 minutes late to this call. So I apologize for keeping you guys waiting. It's just the middle of the day, and so sometimes the time zones, it's hard. Anyway, how was that, Vicki? Do you think I made our point across?
Yeah, definitely. It's a real shame, obviously, not to have Abby tonight, but hopefully we can get her on in the future, and other guests and things that we've kind of got lined up.
Well, there's two things. I can either do this full time and tell everyone, like I applaud James. He just said, look, this is now my mainstream of income, and I'm going to be doing a podcast full time, and I'm going to seek out the best and provide real high quality content. And, that he is a journalist, and the way he speaks is very, some of these discussions will, blow your mind. And I love them for that. But we can start doing that organically. I never saw this as like a full-time, stream of revenue. So it's unfair to just kind of stop everything to do that. But it is surprising how much energy it takes, just finding people or talking to people through people. And now, we want to make sure that we're vetting people appropriately. And, so we have no like Mel Carmine like folk that just drop out of the back truck and stand there on the street corner. So, I don't want any of that kind of stuff on this channel. So I'm not going to be doing likes and subscribes or finding people that bring that kind of clickbait crap. That's just a waste of time for everyone, I think. But there are things that we are doing, Vicki, you and I, we're part of a team that's the finalists for the Ripple grant. People don't really know what that means. Honestly, I don't think we do either, but that's pretty damn cool. Considering we've told everybody we want to build this locally global credit union, and I meant what I said. So sometimes if you see me go quiet on something, oftentimes I'm just finding a better way to strategize to make it happen. And I wasn't prepared to stop my business and put everything behind that or invest everything just because of how, kind and glorious the UK media has been to Hacker House over the years. So it wasn't like something I really wanted to draw attention to as much as I just want to do it. But gosh, you have no idea how excited I am to be like holding my breath to let everyone know about this, command prompt tool that, Matthew has written on the XRPL.
That kind of leads us into a nice segue, actually, which we may be able to answer off the back of the announcement, which is the same concern that comes up with Ripple being in bed with the West. What does it mean for XRP and being used as part of the system? And obviously, we know how it's going to work and how you've got to be in there to make changes. And Matthew's code, for example, will make massive changes to how it's used and accessed, and what we're bringing to through the credit union with a new kind of a banking system shows how it's not going to be swallowed up. But the rails need to be there globally. We can't avoid that fact. We're not going to be able to live in a little hub of 10,000 people in one little union. We need to be accessing, the global rails, which is what Ripple has to do. And unfortunately, that will be stepping alongside the WEF and stuff.
Well, I think, go back to this concept. A friend asked me about this the other day, actually, and I was sending him, guys, I kind of, didn't mean to, but I did go, I was like, James, cliff high. And I sent that photo and I was like, don't hate me. And then he was like, ooh, tell me more. So I was like, really, James? Okay, here's everything where he's wrong about XRP. Blah, 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 blah. I couldn't help it. I was like, this is factually incorrect. This is factually incorrect. Where the hell has he been the last 15 years? What is he, sleeping under a rock? The quantum financial system, again, is just to go back to this. There is a quantum computer, and it probably will be running the financial system. But before you get all worried about that, I don't think it'll be anything like, maybe similar to what Charlie Ward is trying to say, or Simon Parks, or who cares? I mean, everybody gets so caught up on that. Like, there is going to be a blockchain-backed super quantum computer, and it probably has been around years and years. I know that we found some patents, and we found, various takes on this, but there was a quantum.gov website launched at the White House. Now, I know there's a lot of crazy stuff happening at the White House, but here's the thing: nothing's happening at the White House. So this was one of the last things that was actually published and put out there before all went to hell with that election. So, keep in mind, whatever the hell's pretending to be a White House web, I mean, that's a different conversation for patriots that pay far more attention to the emblems and stuff like that. But trust me, there's a lot, and DC's pretty much an empty hole. And what's up with the fencing? Anyways, back to XRP. So I keep saying, when this does fall to pieces, because eventually what has been propped up will have to come down. It will have to collapse. The system can only sustain for so long, right? So when this ultimately does happen, you think anyone's going to have time to find the new alternative? Think of the trust that's going to be lost. Think of how people are going to be so fearful. They're wanting to be told what to do. They're going to want to know what's the next move. These guys, they're going to be demanding heads for everybody in charge because of what has happened. And I think this is why, Ripple and XRP has been strategically placed, over the years. This is why they've had, various meetings across the different various administrations, for the implementation of this software, this technology. It was designed for all the money, and all the money it will be for. And the patents on this actually predate Bitcoin. So there's a lot of suggestion to say that, this is older than Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was the beta. So when people go nuts that, they think I'm just hating on Bitcoin, well, I am, because you guys are like 15 years behind the times. Bitcoin is, and you want to call it new technology, please catch up. Because Bitcoin, the reality is that has been centralized. It can be centralized on a computer. It requires like a plug-in to do basically the same security features that the RippleNet can do. It's just, there's so many clunks with it. It's not as capable, sustainable, and scalable, which is why I think they gave everybody a nugget to chew on, a carrot, if you will, for the, right after the Band-Aid explosion of that collapse in 2008. So Bitcoin served as the proxy to the dollar and has been functioning ever since. People can make real money with it. That doesn't mean, I don't know why they think but at any point you could also just do nothing. It could all go to nothing, like a Luna. And IP classic, but let's hope you can come back and show us what you got again. The crypto is a crazy world, guys. This is why, I get messages daily about this or that or this new project, and I understand the excitement behind all of it. I do. My husband's really into all of that. And, I just say, look, there'll be plenty of time for that kind of stuff. If you want to risk the gamble or staking, that's kind of just like a glorified gambling process. This is why I don't do simple swaps. I don't do, these kind of dexes. I don't do, you had to pull my arm to even set up a trust line. I just don't like third party anybody. And this is why I see the future of the financial system so clear, because when I have my husband involved, who's like total security, verification, trust, like let's build the Fort Knox. Like if there's a way to hack a bank, my husband knows how to do it. And that's, that whole thing when I was doing in London in 2015, 16, no wonder it pissed everyone off. But I was the one in government saying like, hey, we should listen to the criminals. They probably could teach us a lot. If you guys are so damn worried about these backdoors and these fraudulent, creepy creepers, then let's hear how they do it. And the ones that have done it, let's have them teach the very best of the best. You can't have half your force not know where this is going. So the point is to circle back. The financial system we're in is completely broken. And it can be surveilled, and your ACH, your router, your bank account, these sort codes, they can be tracked and they can be intercepted. I found it really weird today that, all VAT going through HMRC has to be filed through QuickBooks. It's just another way to monopolize a system and send it through. Now, when you look at how the Ripple net has been made, one of the first things my husband noticed was, well, damn, this was built for the institutions. This is not, capable nor palatable for small developers like me who just want to like plug and play, write a bit of code, see what it does, write a bit of, work out SDK, try this or that, that's not how Ripple was designed. It was designed institutionally. So it does take powerful servers and nodes to kind of work and build on. Now, one of the things that he saw in the problems of the XRP grants, or what Ripple was looking to do, was to basically fund some developers to build on top some cool open source tools that give other developers the means to develop more. And there lies the ecosystem, right? This is the very incipiency of this innovative space where you see it's, clunky taking off. Now, XRP went directly for the banks and the higher institutions. And then they've worked backwards and they've created, these small grants where they give developers tools to enable other developers. And that's where we're going to come in the game. This is why, you guys, honestly, not to shamelessly plug, but hell, Vicki, we got to do it. This is why, you guys, we are so damn proud of the Shiba NFT folks. All right. They are doing the laborious, horrible, soul destroying work building code on the Sologenic on XRPL, because that is the shit that will scale. If they were trying to pump and dump, they would not be going through this heartache. Trust me, guys. They are waiting for, things to be developed to help build the ecosystem, like an NFT marketplace. And they're the type that are like, look, this doesn't exist. We're going to have to build one ourselves. This is why Vicki and I like them, because we're those kind of people, right? This is how my husband works. This is how, I work. If something's broken, we got to fix it. And sometimes the only way to make it better is to point out where it's broken. And then you just got to let it burn. So, when I talk about XRP and these blockchains, it really is to go back how the internet is going to be dramatically redesigned. Right now, if you use Brave browser, you're using it as a plug-in to your normal browser. Now, look, this doesn't really need to be broken down into details because it doesn't really matter, because the front end will look the same to you guys. But on the back end, everything's changing. The internet will change. This is where the migration into Web3 is permission-based. So you're the one that holds the permission, you, the user. Not like this Web 2.0 rape and pillaging. Like I've spoken about this, the data, when you go places, you're the product. You're not the user. You're just the buying and selling, the collateralized metadata that, gets collected like cattle on a website. But this is why you want people like my husband and other, small teams like the Shiba NFT team to be building on the XRPL, because this is what's going to launch the ecosystem in this space. Now, if you're not into NFTs or metaverse because you think all that's scary, okay, that's fine. Just take it step by step. Just follow the projects that matter. Follow the projects that will be the ones in the new system, all right? Because there will be gaming, there will be fun, exciting ways of using these tokens, certain VIP events, guest experiences, all this stuff that will come with the adoption with Web3. But if that's too much for anybody on this call, I totally get it. We'll just take it step by step. And I think the initial question on all of this was, why the hell is Ripple with, the WEF? And I think because both sides see this technology, but because we are at the cusp of building a brand new internet with brand new permissions, we, the people, by the time this gets to where the Ponzi scheme has collapsed, will be so ready to reclaim our sovereignty. We will reclaim those permissions. And we suddenly will be able to do that with the very same technology that was going to be weaponized against us. Because remember, technology itself is not negative or positive. It is neutral. It is how you build on top of it. And that is the key difference here. So you don't have to understand the technology. You just have to understand that how we build with that technology is the big game changer here. Hope that answers that question.
Superb, definitely. Do you want me to move on to a couple of more questions that we've had come up?
Yeah, I mean,
trying
I
to
guess,
tie things together.
Does somebody want to ask or contribute to that or add more to it? I mean, did I cover everything?
I think so. There's no hands up at the moment. Guys, if you want to jump in,
just
put
go
your hand
ahead.
up. So one of the kind of leading into that, when you're talking about new financial system and structures changing, which is something we go over, there's obviously a lot of high concern at the moment about higher gas prices, higher electric prices, money that you've got retained in the bank, best places to put them, or put it, sorry. Best kind of cryptos maybe to invest in at the moment. There's a comment here with relation to DOT, alongside obviously other ISO compliant crypto, gold and silver, and then kind of ratios and things like that. So I think maybe just a refresh on how we picture all of those, which again, we don't give financial advice, we just merely share what we're doing, don't we, Jennifer?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, look, it's not really, I mean, everyone's saying it's informed consent. Like, everybody has to make the decision on what's best for them. If you receive a pension or a SIP or you have money in a bank, there's obviously a reason why you have that. I don't know all those personal details. So it's easy for me to say, get rid of it. But, I'm not the one who's invested and contributed into it or having to pay fees. So that's the caveat there. There are ways of managing those fees. Again, I'm not going to pretend to be a financial advisor on that, but I would say just explore ways that you could either roll it over into gold and silver, and physical gold and silver all the way. I'm not into contracts and mining. You can invest in a home safe. I don't personally invest in, allocated pots or vaults where you share with other people, but some people do. Some places will give you dedicated vault space that's, an allocated box that's just to you. Again, I'm with Lynette on this. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. And we started talking about gold and silver probably this time, if not earlier, last year, when, where we're watching these collapse, these huge volatile swings within the market right after this COVID announcement, 10 days of flattening. Oh man, that whole thing started. And so you're seeing the kind of ups and downs, and what that is indicating, this kind of the volatility of a market that can't, equilibrize or stabilize itself. And so then we start seeing the puffing of quantitative easing, which we've mentioned before. This is the printing on steroids. This is the fractional reserve banking, the central banks, the Federal Reserve, kind of lending money to and fro these central banks, taking out security notes and all this. And it's, for every dollar they're lending out 10 kind of thing. It's a very, when you listen to the videos on YouTube and you watch how the system goes, and then you think about how it's taken place right in front of your eyes, basically our entire lives, it just can't, you can't really grasp how much like the mind, like, wow, this has really happened. This is what this system is. I mean, I thought this was a government entity, not privately owned by private individuals and corporations. I mean, this is just insanity. So, this is why it really isn't just one thing or one lecture or one way. It's understanding what is happening in the broader, economy. That was our tent outside. Remember I told you we're having these crazy hurricane weather issues? It'll be like beautiful and then there'll be like a hurricane. That's Florida for you. It's crazy. I swear I got caught in traffic earlier because we had like this random hurricane, these crazy storms. But so this is why we introduced the concept of gold and silver. And then finally, I started talking about digital assets. And this is where, we had this massive pump last May or April and May. And, I guess the 50 or so people that I was telling, buy XRP, they got this huge pump and, we're really in profits. And like, my cousin turned $350 into over $10,000. And it was this crazy wild ride for her with digital. I mean, she's never had that kind of money. And so that was a huge trade. And I'm like, all right, okay, great. So let's just, keep, let's do this again. And so this is where I started getting more confident to then be able to explain or at least introduce a few digital assets to stand behind. And that's where we've kind of then introduced, okay, if you're going to take your money out of the banks, where do you hold it? Gold, silver, and that if you had a bit of extra after everything's paid for and you feel confident in your nominal investments, look into investing in these digital assets, XRP mainly, and, XLM. A lot of people like to diversify, so they'll hold a little bit of everything. I'm not one of those people. I've said that before. Vicki, you're kind of one of those people. You like to buy a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
I also don't let go.
Yeah, that's true. You have a lot more, I like to buy it, hold it, or, trade it. So if I'm like, if I take a punt into something or if I veer off the XRP course, as I have done in the past, I did really well with XDC, but then I didn't let it go in time. That was a big lesson I've shared with you guys before. I didn't sell in time. And so I've kind of developed a little strategy for some low cap gems that I've been able to trade, wildly and do very well and increase my position with XRP. But again, these are decisions I've chosen to do. I've told you guys about the Shiba NFT project recently. That's probably the one that I'm watching the most, just because they have so much in the pipeline. And with all those zeros, you guys, and like solid, utility projects behind it, this is why this is one of those projects you load up while you can when it's at this price, because it'll be very, very easy to at least take out your nominal investment and let the rest ride. But it'll also, you'll be able to trade it as it goes because it's very volatile. But these are the kind of coins I look to now if and when I do diversify. But I'm not really one. So people always ask me about other projects. To me, everything comes back to gold, silver, and XRP, and those are the ones I want more of. So I hope that answers a few because I saw those.
No, definitely. I like my second biggest hold, I think, is XLM, and then like yourself, got XDC, and then quite a lot of random coins. Just alongside that, somebody made a comment about whether to have a Ledger Nano or a Trust wallet. So a Trust wallet is an app, an exchange app, whereas a Ledger Nano is your cold storage, stores it away from things like that, and you hold it similarly to the gold and silver, like Jennifer was saying. If you don't own, you don't hold it, you don't own it. Trust wallets and those kind of exchanges are good for quick use with a little bit of crypto that you keep lying around, but not for your big stash, is it, Jennifer? We've got everything stored safely on ledgers, and Ledger on the web has got some really great walkthroughs, and as you link up your ledger, it will tell you what to do to get started with it. It's really simple once you get going.
But just like, with the early adoption of the applications, when everything was like, oh, do you have the app? And it was like, oh, no. But, in UK, I could see you guys easily adopt that, where the service was only available via the app, or it's an order through the app, or the retail line is only in the app, these kind of things. This is how your digital wallets start being adopted. Zoom wallet, for example, is very easy, it's free, and it's relatively secure. But that's just it. Everything's relatively secure because there's no regulation in this space. There's no ultimate decision body making specifically designed for digital assets, which move very differently than wire transfers and basic message protocols that is the SWIFT system. So we, over the last year, have adopted these principles that I just have kind of run through. We were interested in doing an intro to crypto course, and we still potentially could do this keep talking about trying to film it. But, and I know that there's a lot of interest on that, especially on this channel. But guys, at the same time, everything we're teaching, we really focus on the new financial system. And at least what we can deduct, take away from it at this moment. We're watching how the new registration house, what is that? What was that? Bank of Companies of London or whatever? The new registration house and the new Bank of London.
It's in the city of London, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so you're just watching the new things coming out, and you're like, they're
the clearinghouse.
Sorry.
The clearinghouse.
Yeah, the new one, the alternative to Companies House.
Oh, for company registrations.
Yes.
Oh, I've missed that one. Sorry, I thought you meant the payments, the clearinghouse for Bank of Banks.
Well, I think it does both, actually. Oh man, now I'm mentioning them. You definitely remember it because we were like, they're absolutely using Ripple.
Yes, that's the clearinghouse. So for the big global payments.
Okay.
Yeah, for companies. Yeah, you're right.
Well, they the point is that when we were talking about the adoption, when I use the Brave browser or the Unstoppable domains, you have to use those as an extensions. So pretty soon in the new blockchain internet and the new blockchain browsers, you'll be able to serve where these won't be the extensions, they'll be the default. So I use those as examples, I guess, because those are more commonly used for people to, understand. But this adoption, these new clearing houses, these new banks, this is all kind of where we're moving towards. Now, I want to just mention the CBDCs because, it is my hunch at this moment, we won't necessarily need CBDCs because the way the money will flow will be through these blockchains, and your permissions, your digital wallets will be your kind of new, bank accounts. What I can see happening are these companies with these trust line wallets and, where we could go with our little credit union, we could develop out features, the same as the bank would have. So issue a debit card, create like a little login with an app and a savings, where you're, compounding interest, or maybe you're minting on Flare, you know what I mean? All those kind of third, the features, the bells and whistles part of what a traditional bank would offer. Because banks, guys, I see them as superfluous. And that's why I'm outspoken about them, because let them huff and puff, blow themselves away. Because honestly, in the new end, the way that these payments will flow, especially with this interledger protocol, like the reason why we have to use banks now is because we're all forced to use the same currency, this fiat currency, all pegged against this crazy petrodollar, right? But in the new world, this new financial system, we can hold many tokens. Tokens will be the currency within a specific retail outlet or website, where they'll issue tokens, to spend internally. And it won't be like you have to go exchange money for the tokens. You'll just do it automatically, with these payment exchanges, these trust lines. And the interledger protocol can basically change any currency to any other currency. That's why these ISO accredited payment rails are so damn important. This is the main interledger protocol I keep mentioning. That is the same people of Ripple have kind of developed this technology to exchange these currencies. So they run like payment rails in the sky, you guys, like different highways. And when you have the ability to change any currency into any other currency, you, the front end user, you don't have to see the technicals behind that. You don't care how it's exchanged out. You don't want to wait 3 to 5 days or pay 2 to 4% processing fee. Forget all of that. That is crap. This happens seamlessly and instantly, and the payment is settled. So if you're sending, Japanese, Taiwan, or yen, to China or Taiwan or England, you're just sending it, and it converts, and it ends up in the currency that it would, designated on the other side. So that, again, that's where we're watching how these new financial institutions and architectures kind of take place, because they'll start connecting dots really soon. We'll start seeing how they all interconnect. And then we know, I mean, we're watching London, obviously, because London is ready. It's supposed to happen first in London.
Yeah, it's funny, just quickly on the ISO 222 protocol, because NatWest Bank put out to, all companies and stuff like that about being compliant or by November 2022, isn't it? This November, basically, the rails will be moving, everybody will be going. Yet the Fed just released that they're postponing their start until 2025. Now I need to look at it in a little bit more detail, but I don't know whether is this America's last ditch effort to hold on to the dollar, or they're not ready to slow things up alongside the SEC case. All of these kind of, what's the word? Things in the road to stop things or slow things down. And it just seems to be the US at the moment dragging the heels around the whole kind of crypto thing, or putting the downer on the crypto and digital asset sphere. What do you think about that, Jem?
I think we have to be prepared for it to have a slow bleed to 2025. I don't feel like we will have to wait. I mean, maybe it'll take that long for everything to be set up. I don't know if that's just FUD, if this is just another effort to like keep trying to, keep this horrible, antiquated, like this earth just is dead. System is dead. It's, they can only inflate it for so much longer. There'll be some kind of trigger. Now everybody gets so angry at like, what is it? What is the best way I can explain it is that not one of us is the sole, contributor to the one variable that can be isolated out. You know what I mean? Because I guarantee if there was a lever, a button, I would push it, or I would tell you guys where it is, and and we could all do it together. But just get it over with. So we just have to watch how it all goes, and what exactly, that was always one of my favorite things when I would read extensively into some past disasters. So I'd look into like when Enron and the too big to fail concept, the Andrew Sorkin book that he wrote, what was the tipping point at which where the whole house of cards collapsed and it came down to this one damn laptop, and how this, the narrator kind of built all these characters into this one chronological sequence that the, listener, reader could follow, and, put it down to this point, or this meeting at the Fed, which happened right before that Lehman, when the day they decided to let Lehman die. And, I read about, Eisner and Disney and the collapse of Disney. And I think about how but none of those can, or let's go even further, the great, the wars of our time, even though we've been told history's all wrong, or the Great Depression, or, I mean, there's so many questions now I have on a lot of that, because now that we're living through this in real time, it makes you wonder, did anybody else get really upset and angry? Were they getting bored? Were they, like, what do we do? Where's the lever? Push the button, to make all of this end? Were they just blissfully unaware? I mean, there's just, it makes you think. But yeah, I mean, the financial system is doomed. And the longer that you wait with money that is held in paper notes, that is made lawful only by government decree, the further your attack vector, widens. It just makes you more susceptible, to be controlled, or, to have that money withheld from you. So this is why looking to get it outside the system is the best way. And yes, on a level, it's probably the best way, given the state of government or lack thereof with regulatory clarity here, for your XRP, because I don't trust it on exchanges. You just don't know, they decide to seize it or take it, or stop trading it and then take yours. I mean, you just don't know how that'll go out, how it'll, exactly the micro baby steps. But we know there's a reason why it's under lawsuit. If it was just the WEF's pet project, I guarantee it would not be under lawsuit. They wouldn't be there dragging their fingers, They wouldn't be making Gary Gensler and the band of merrymen criminals inside the SEC a thing, right? They would just cover that over. But here we are, slow bleed, the Hinman speech that was the official narrative of the SEC, and then it wasn't, right? And then we had regulatory clarity around ETH, but we didn't have it for XRP, even though they were trading, mutually trading at the same time over many years, right? And one just so happened to have many appointments in the White House over two different administrations, right? So there's just, guys, when you get all worried about this, you have to take a bigger step back out and look at it from the wider lens. And just think, yeah, both sides would want to use this technology. Both sides see the, practical application. Sure, I'm sure there's a lot of weirdos out there that get excited about the biometric payments and the encryption. But at the end of the day, that stuff is going to be refuted. By the time we get to that point where that becomes mandatory, watch the hell pour out on the streets. There's no way people will go with it. I don't care how indoctrinated they may seem. There's going to be a point where this tipping point, and it comes down to the resilience, guys. It's not the majority. So quit holding your breath for the majority. It's every single one of us standing with death of 1,000 cuts, where we just do not go away. Keep bringing out your creepy stuff. No, absolutely not. End of no. This is how we have to speak to these people. That's why I love what Pete said the other day about the sovereign mindset, right? I'm sure people get mad at him. They come to him, like, just tell me what to do. And he's like, oh, no, not you. Because those kind of people will never get it. So then told him, I mean, what do you want? You want to be told what to do? Fine. Pay your taxes. Get in line. Go. There's your payment. This is the system you adhere to if that's what you're looking for. Now, there's education, right? And there's truth. And there's a way forward, and I know that a lot of what he said, including mine, blew my mind the other day of like all the stuff that we could have potentially been told wrong. So it's going to take a beat to wrap our heads around it. But no one's going to tell us what to do. No one's going to hold our hands. We have to stand and just not comply. So if you don't want a biometric facial scan at Tesco, don't shop at Tesco. Tell them. Demand they stop that crap. Right? Because that's the power we have. And we are the many, not the weirdos at the top. Trust me, half of them are dimwits. They're not even worth our energy here. You just got to stand and just speak and say no. Now, I feel like I'm lecturing everybody, so someone join this conversation so I feel like I'm not here just speaking over you guys.
Not at all. You answered another kind of question. Within that. Lynn, did you want to speak, Lynn? She put her hand up to speak. Does anybody else wish to jump in or have a question? Come on, guys, don't be shy. I know it's been a while since we've done this.
I feel like I've scared everyone. All right.
No, I
do want to mention this gun stuff just briefly, not to really get into it more, but it is so painful. I've missed a lot of it being in England because I forgot all about this gun issue here. And, I was always the person like, whatever, guns, whatever. But now I'm like, yeah, I see why the Americans freak out about the right to hold a gun. But I'll tell you on my life, I don't know what exactly happened in this latest shooting, but it is not at all what the media is saying. I mean, this 18-year-old kid was like cartel targeted. I mean, there was a whole bunch of people, there's just so much the media has failed to say, and everybody on the ground that's, reporting back on any of this is saying, look, this is not a gun issue. Everybody has guns. This is not a gun issue. Everybody knows how to train their kids to, or all their kids are trained to use guns. Everybody has a gun here. This is an evil issue. Whether this is an MK Ultra, demonic possession, paid off, kind of angry, mentally unsatisfied. But there's so much here that, you just like, neighbors that are saying, where did he get this money? People that are showing up. how the cartel works. I mean, there's just a lot there that the media is not saying. So I understand where a lot of people sit, especially in England or across the UK, where they think the crazy Americans, it's all the hillbillies and the crazy folk in the South that want their guns, and I can see that stereotype 100%. But I have not been here through these shootings since I was a child. I've been over with you guys. So now that I'm here and I'm seeing all the stuff that people are saying that stuff that just won't make it to the news, and I'm trying to collect it. There was a piece that ran, I think, on Fox that did kind of give enough questions there so that people are asking. But unfortunately, it's still like, InfoWars and Steve Bannon that are the ones asking these questions, and a lot of people put their question marks over those guys too. So it's really hard to know where factual information is coming from. But I just wanted to lightly address that topic because nothing in the news about this. This is such a play from criminals to try to just de-weaponize, basically take any kind of ability for Americans to defend themselves. This is 100% a play for this, and definitely not. I mean, gosh. Anyway, that's just a little news for me as an American here, because I've been shocked over how this is played out now being on this side.
Yeah, a lot of the story that I've seen coming out of it is this the chap that went into the school? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was how the police were stood outside, basically watching him get in. The school had been boasting about how everything was super locked, how he got in to a super locked school. Lots and lots of things. Just people are questioning, and as you said, $7,500 worth of firearms for somebody who's unemployed. Lots of these things aren't making sense. So I think people are starting to question, but as you said, being on this side of it, it's a very slow burn of information.
I mean, I think there was another thing that came out recently where they said there's no way that the elections were insecure. And this is just so factually incorrect on so many levels. And it's just, I'm like, how is it? We are still in this fighting, still debating this. I thought this evidence was but, there's just, there's fighting internally, regionally, locally. I don't think it's going, to plan, because I think a lot of people are getting very impatient about how things are happening. But then at any point, you still just cannot help but think, if this was so meticulously planned out and this is the way it was going to be, then they knew this was going to get to this point. And at what point and how far does this escalate? I don't know. But I think people are getting so pissed off about this election thing, because they're just, and so all I can see it is, this kind of bloody battle into the midterms, and it will have to be faulty again. It will have to, and I think what we're going to have to see is all the countries, as Laura Logan's perfectly said in this little clip, and I'll find it and kind of post it to this thread if you have, it's circulating around, where she says we have to start asking how many of our world leaders were installed, or were they actually, elected by the people? Because I think this is the point. We're all supposed to finally wake up to the grasp that it's not just one election, one time, one leader, one country. It's basically all leaders, all countries, all elections, even the hand counted ones that then get tabulated electronically later. And so I don't know how long it goes, but it's so damn painful, because no one wants to sit here and listen to any more of Sleepy Creepy on, TV from his Castle Rock studio somewhere in LA or in Pennsylvania, or wherever that off the grid other one, DC is. I guess, yeah, today was just to kind of connect with you guys. If anybody wants to add or contribute, please jump on in. Otherwise, I think we could wrap it up. I mean, I just wanted to be here to, kind of address any issues and, just to keep our community calls going. But equally, I don't want to like talk anyone's ear off.
No, it's all good. There's just a couple of things on the Q&A which lend themselves to deeper threads, which we've spoken about. Just scrolling back up. One about about DUMs and tunnels and things like that. I don't know if you've got anything to hand on those. And then HKV obviously gave a couple of really good questions, the real agenda behind veganism and the female fat movement, and things like that, and normalizing unhealthy images and body weights and things. Again, that I think they're almost solo topics on their own, which we could talk about in greater detail, as opposed to just skimming over. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had any recent updates on the DUMs. As far as like Matthew had intercepted a few, when he was playing with radios over the summer where there were images of children, nothing scandalous or anything, but like he was just thought it was weird that there was just various satellite images with these faces of children. And then a girlfriend of mine a year and a half or so ago had family in the tunnels in Colorado, and they were rescuing children, deformed children and women. And then there was some stuff that leaked out in New York, that I knew of. But again, this stuff is old. I have not been keeping tabs on any updated information. I mean, remember that week, like all the world flooded at once? That was weird. And we were like, look, another flood. So, we are kind of watching those events. We can do another dumb, thread for those that want to share any kind of recent information. But a lot of the stuff that comes out about that is not stuff I want to fill people's minds with, because it's very depleting. And, there were a few videos that were shared of what happens underground. There are tunnels all over under London. I've seen a few. My husband knew a few outside of Manchester growing up. So there are, openly known entryways and things that go underground. Yeah. And then the vegan agenda, it was very interesting. That would be a great topic. I never really got the vegan thing. It's definitely not about pushing just health. And then, the unhealthy images, I think that is a way of celebrating, those. It's one thing to embrace, a woman's body for all the many different layers and shapes that come with it. But again, the targeted focus, like it does, it's like, anytime you kind of pick up on those kind of campaigned messages, it should raise alarm bells. We should question that, because there shouldn't be fat shaming any more than there would be, just endorsing what I get both sides there. So those are my opinions. Does anybody want to add to that? Because we can just run some threads on those. Those are kind of, maybe people want to think about what their thoughts are, and we can run some fascinating discussions on that. Does that sound good, Vicki?
Yeah, and I think it's really important, as you said, it's not about fat shaming or whatever, but it's about the depletion of promotion of healthy lifestyle that's been removed, isn't it? And things like that. We saw it all the way through COVID. The doctors and everything should have been promoting, good vitamin D consumption, vitamin C, zinc, all of these natural benefits and things. And it's not about, your body composition as such, but it's about, the removal of the advocacy for a healthy lifestyle.
VKH, you wanted to say something?
Hi, yeah. Sorry, this is my first call, so I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be offering anything of value here, but I'm a dietitian working in the UK and have been practicing as a dietitian for 20 years. In the last 5, 6, 7 years, I've undergone a bit of a shift in terms of what constitutes healthy eating. And with no offense to any vegans in the group, I think it's actually quite difficult to be healthy following a vegan diet. And also the current UK, US, global guidelines as to what healthy eating is are also pretty much contrary to human health. And there's an argument that actually I think the Kellogg Foundation, like back in the day, came up with the first nutritional guidance in the US, and various other countries followed suit. And they've turned it into a moral issue. They've turned it into a climate issue. And you can eat healthily as a vegan, but it's actually quite difficult to do, particularly with the quality of many fruits and vegetables that are available to the majority of us today, particularly as they're intensively farmed and increasingly genetically modified. So there's a lot to say there. On the images that we're seeing, I agree that fat shaming isn't a good thing, but I heard of, perhaps rather belatedly, the concept of healthy at any size from another dietitian that I was visiting in Mexico in February, and I was genuinely shocked at hearing what that ethos is, because I believe in being healthy and happy, and you can improve your health at any size, but I think being obese isn't necessarily healthy. You can improve your metabolic markers while remaining overweight, and any improvement is good for health. But yeah, I think the agenda is basically about making us weaker and sicker. And so if anyone on the call is prepping, which I perhaps again have started to do rather late in the day, rather than just focusing on carbohydrate grains, please also focus on your pulses, dried pulses, so that you get protein, because you can make all the carbs that you need within your own body from protein, from fat. Focus on your proteins and healthy fats and good supplements for any times of shortage that we're going to come across. And yeah, I'd be really interested to see any threads and participate in those, because I haven't really had much to contribute, just much to learn from the other threads. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. As soon as we get a thread started, any assistance that you can help with the community and information, always gratefully received. HKV?
Hi. I brought up those questions, and I absolutely agree with VKH, exactly my initials in a different order. And I just wanted to add to the vegan question. I think one of the things I'm really worried about is how it's giving way to very unhealthy foods. So to look at, what they're actually serving as plant-based meals in Marks or Sainsbury's, I mean, the stuff is highly processed. And I feel that's where they're trying to guide us. And then you've got this whole area of lab-made meats as well. And, less and less agricultural land being devoted to raising cattle and animals, which means, to me, it feels like the whole thing is being driven down this very narrow path of manufactured, highly processed food. And it does remind me of something I think Kissinger said, is that you want to control people, you control the food. So before we actually get there, I think this is why we need to have these debates. And yeah, I could go on, but I'll stop there.
Thank you for that. Petra? Vicki, are you there? I can't hear anyone.
I'm here. Cool. Yeah.
Okay,
Excellent. So,
All right.
can you hear me?
Yes. Apologies.
So I think oh, go on.
Yeah, all right. Sounds like that we lost the call there for a minute.
Yeah, we're back. Okay. So we'll follow up with those threads over the week, I think, Jennifer.
Sure. Just after this call. I'll do it later.
Perfect. Well,
Petra,
I think from me, that's... Oh.
It was just because Petra raised her hand. I didn't know if she wanted to add something. Because otherwise, we'll probably wrap up. It's about time. All right.
Hello, can you hear me? Sorry.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry, I was just speaking. I didn't realize I was on mute. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say I really agree about the last point from HKV about if you control the food, you control the people. But I've been vegan for the past 4 years. I was vegetarian for like 20 years prior to that. For me, it's always been ethical about the animals. But I mean, that aside, you talk about all this processed plant-based stuff, which I don't happen to agree with, and I think it is aimed at meat eaters, and that there is a ton of salt in all this kind of processed plant-based food. But you can eat really healthily on a vegan diet, so you don't need meat and dairy. There is no one in A&E dying of protein deficiencies. We have too much protein in the West. We have too many diseases associated with dietary issues, and I think that's the conflict I have, because I see what's going on with what they're doing, and they're bringing the wrong reasons for veganism, and that is something that really upsets me, because I'm doing it from a really holistic point of view here, and kind of my children aren't vegan. I'm not raising my children vegan. It's up to them, but you can't castigate kind of all vegans, because we're not involved with the Illuminati, and we're not part of this kind of cull and this whatever they're doing, whatever idiocracy and heinous things that they're doing. I'm not part of that. I mistakenly thought that I fell for this climate change thing, and I'm really kind of researching on that myself now. But in terms of veganism, I will never ever differ from that path, but that works for me. But all this insect, I mean, I live in Wales, and recently there's an article that's come out in the whatever daily rag it was, that Mark Drakeford, our lovely furrer, is going to be introducing bugs, eating bugs into I think they're trialing it in 4 primary schools. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, anyway, I'd love to contribute on any thread going forward. So just hope you don't mind me saying that.
I love that you said that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of
Thanks.
course. Kidding. Yeah.
I think you rock. I think you rock, Jen. I think you're amazing, and Vicki as well.
Oh,
so,
thank you. Yeah, no. Look, if you can rock the vegan thing, that's amazing. And I had a girl who just made the most glorious meal, and I was still so impressed with how she, and I know there's some beautiful ways of eating, definitely with, fruits and grains, vegetables, and everything else that, stuff. That's that's what went from like something you chose to do for you, or to get over a health condition or whatever, to this push, through, now we're eating bugs in primary school, and
I
it's like,
know. Yeah.
what? So I love you said that, because you're right. There were many good vegans back in the day who just wanted a damn plant, and
Yeah, that's me. That's me. It's like, I just want peace. I just want world peace.
yeah,
That's my,
and
and I grow my own food. Well, I do grow my own food, but the conditions obviously in the UK aren't completely what's the word? Temperate for that. But uh, I'm doing what I can. It's difficult though, isn't it?
it
It's
is. It is.
yeah.
And I think it would be more impressive and more worthy of news if they were teaching those primary kids, about sowing a seed and germinating a seed. Oh,
Exactly.
them about how we could like build our own. Because this was a big part of our credit union. Because we could collectively fund things that we need together. And so if
Yeah.
there was growing food collectively, okay, so maybe not everybody is. I'm no good with in the garden, but there are people that get into this and know exactly how to harvest and which plants will germinate year after year, and which ones, and this is like, these are real skills. And I just, for the same fervent, vocal pitch that I give about cybersecurity skills, I stand on this farming as well, because this is what we should be talking about. What is in a plant, and what is the real threat of genetically modified? Okay, like it goes a little bit more, down to like nutrition. I mean, you're buying all these apples, but do you even know what are in these apples? I mean, especially here in California, you have so many genetically modified everything. So it's really get organic, because it sits in the same, truck space, farms that all this other crap is. So of course you just don't know, so like, for example, strawberries, don't ever buy normal strawberries. There's too
Yeah.
many poor seeds, and these little tidbits about, growing plants. I wish we knew, we have run a few threads on this. I don't know if you've seen, we haven't done like a
Yeah.
vegan.
Yeah. No, I have seen, yeah, because I've been with you, for quite a long time now on this channel, and yeah, I think we can all. I think it's all about taking what we need from the earth, not wasting resources, and utilizing what we have, and I think that's absolutely fundamental, and I think we need to go back to basics to all kind of learn how to do that. But I think that will come. Hopefully with this awakening that's spreading going forward. So
And
who
on
knows?
change, it's absolutely, I mean, valid, because like, who wouldn't want to take care of the ocean, right? Who wouldn't
Yeah.
want air? I mean, so they've really weaponized and manipulated that to hell. I mean, I'm someone, like, I'm not exactly someone, that will go fight for animal rights. I mean, I love animals, but I'm not. But when it comes to dolphins, and like, after watching the
Yeah.
documentary Cove, like, I just lost it on the slaughtering of these animals, and just the fact that there, there's certain issues there that, you think about, how do we get the plastic out of the sea? This just common sense, like. But then there's so many ways to reuse plastic. So why isn't this the forefront of every global summit, government coming
Well,
together?
well, the thing is, all these top dogs, fat cats, whatever, including Greta Thunberg, they're all advocating plastic-free society, and yet they're all advocating wearing masks. So they're complete hypocrites. They're the ones pushing the obviously COVID narrative, whatever virus is going around, whatever the virus in trend is. Whatever strain of whatever pox is going around now. So that they're completely contradicting themselves. This is what I can't understand. They're so this so stupid with it, because it doesn't, none of it makes any sense. And like Bill Gates owns nearly all the farmland in the States now. He's bought nearly all the farmland, and he owns, I think is it Beyond Meat, the company? I think he owns nearly, well, a fair percentage of shares in that company now. I mean, this guy is like foretelling the future, before it even happens. So, and yet, if you kind of listen to someone that said, oh, there's going to be a bank robbery kind of at such and such next Thursday, and it actually happened, you would actually look at that person and go, right, okay. And yet, yeah, sorry, I'm waffling now.
I
Yeah.
I think it's great. Thanks for sharing. I'm
Mm.
wondering if maybe somebody like Bill Gates. Oh, there's a back. Can you hear that, guys?
Oh, you just echoing
Okay.
now. Shall I go off?
No, I'm wondering if maybe this one owner that owns most of the land in the U.S., if eventually this is not the easiest way to seize back all the land, when there's a seizure of assets, because eventually this guy's going to hang. The crimes against humanity here are off the charts. All right. It's not just India anymore. This is the entire world. And I can't believe that India's had to deal with this for as long as they have. And it's just horrible, the silencing of what has happened there, and then globally. I sit on these calls with these medical doctors for COVID ethics, and there's all kinds of minds that contribute to these weekly calls, from the political to the medical. And, it's crazy to think that these professionals are being silenced the way they are, because there's enough people speaking out, right? There's enough. And so it's almost like, when I think about, how Reiner Fulmick told everybody to just keep pushing back. Because eventually I think we have them, that they've showed their hand, they've overplayed their hand. Nothing about this is making sense. The fact that you're taking private jets to go, one state over, a country over, when you're there to be telling everybody else they can't have a car in 5 years or fly in 10 years. I mean, that's just craziness. And so, but it is easy to get bought into the climate change. You notice in all the shows on Netflix, in the way they kind of adapt it, they'll put it in the subtext of the characters or their motives. They'll want to change the world because of overpopulation and these kind of little subliminal messages there. So the seeding and the buy-in there, people buy it. They really do believe that there's not enough for everybody. But then they have not been told of how much is owned by that 1%. And so once we calculate in their shareholding, suddenly the world becomes a different place. Yeah. So, I'm not here to give you exact numbers. I mean, I've heard people say like everybody could stand with like 600 square foot, or you could put everybody in the world in the state of Texas. I don't know. I don't remember, but there's some crazy number there, with 400 square feet to dance around it. So in other words, if once we actually look at the bigger, globe or flat earth or whatever you want to believe, but the entire population of humanity, in the space that we have, that we actually can make this work a lot better. And that's where I do get excited about technology, because what it can do is alleviate that nefarious, kind of Trojan horse that has happened within these technical oligarchs that have formed over the last, decade or 20 years, really. And so, what I can see with, decentralized autonomous organizations, the use of blockchain and smart contracts, you could alleviate a lot of the middleman finaglement or the ability to make fraudulent or this or that. And there can be, a much more streamlined process so that you could use human intellect elsewhere, and allow the code, to be checked regularly and make sure it's secured properly so that it can execute in a complete seamless transaction. So this is distributorships with supply chains, because think of how much has been disguised in plain sight, container ships, the use of retail alternative websites. You think you're going to an SKU or some kind of barcode on Wayfair, and then suddenly you're I don't know, some obscenely overpriced boxes there. There's all kinds of creepy stuff that's happened, and there's a lot of videos that we've circulated about. Hopefully you guys understand the references I'm making there. But a lot of that is because of this fragmented payment system that we go into. And, because everyone runs on different payment rails and local payment laws, or, kind of taxes and whatnot. So I can kind of see, once this does fall, and to go back to, Bill Gates, this guy can't just be, allowed to keep screwing up in the public eye like this. Like, I just refuse to believe. How long this goes on, I don't know, but there's got to be a point where people are like, wait a minute, even dumb of dumb will eventually, and if they don't, like, again, like I keep saying, it doesn't matter, because there will be enough of us that have been standing. Remember, we just keep growing and growing and pushing back. That's where we see them flailing and doing all kinds of crazy things. But yeah, in a normal world, they'd look at Bill Gates and say, okay, wait a minute, you said this a week ago. What do you know? But that's how we know the system is rigged. So, if there's a reason why he owns all the land, I think it's more than just his creepy agenda, because, again, I don't believe this creepy agenda can sustain. Where we came into the creepy agenda, guys, is the ending, the final few acts. This creepy agenda has been going on long before many of us knew it was going on. Even the oldest red pills, truthers of the group. I salute you, by the way. I can't, there's no way I would have known. We're all from different ages and different points in our lives. So we have to embrace what we're in now and kind of, understand that this is kind of the end. How long it takes is how long it takes. But at the end of it, when you look back, you're like, damn, that was so worth it. That's how we're all going to feel. So I want to give that message out for anybody else. I love the kind of discussion on these points. We haven't really talked about climate change, so I haven't really had a chance to kind of air that. But, I too was swept into that notion of saving the world meant, all the crazy things and trusting the scientists. I didn't realize that the scientists were bought and paid for and funded to say certain things, especially from the MITs and Harvards and, the most illustrious of universities, those, Ivy Leagues in the US, right? Who would have ever thought that they could ever be compromised? Well, this is part of the Great Awakening, everyone. And it's, everybody has to kind of wake up in their own way. And, sometimes it might just be that, the food supply disaster that's coming, or a water crisis, or liquidity crisis, or the damn silver squeeze, whatever it is that gets that person to wake up, all those many different layers. At the end of the day, this can't sustain the way it is. We are at the end, and that's why we are all here. So again, I guess, Vicki, you want to wrap up? Is that good? I mean, is this a good closing point? Do you want to add anything?
Nope, you've summed it up absolutely perfectly. I've currently just vacated my house with the kids, so I'm hiking and talking. So, no, I think it's a really great point to end on, and a really, really positive chat. It's great to be back in the channel for this kind of flexi chat, isn't it?
Yeah, I love talking to you guys. I really appreciate your contributions. I mean, that's what this is about. So we'll try to do these. We'll keep doing them for the community. Nicole does them really well. Simmering Kettle, she does, when I can ask her a bit of her time to host another discussion, she does those. But we'll, Vicki and I will keep doing them here. And we're going to keep looking out for new projects and, hopefully get out a crypto webinar for you guys, and, keep working towards what we were telling you about with the Ripple project we're doing. And the NFT guy. Thank you for joining our discussions, because we do appreciate your support. That was just to help amplify our voices on some of these things that we're talking about. And when we have, now we have a platform to host people like Sovereign Pete, and hopefully we'll get Abby Roberts on and we can have more one-on-one discussions. But like we started out having these community-led, where you just get to talk about what you like and dislike, etc. So again, thank you all for being here. We'll try again. We'll do this again soon with everybody. And have a great weekend in the meantime.